and welcome to another edition of the No Job Podcast. I'm your host, Najee Simmons. I am excited today and just so glad to be introducing our guest. We have with us Chef Marc Bynum. For those of you in the No Job community who don't know him, he's a 3-time CHOP champion. He's a restaurateur. He's a learned man in the school of life, and he's got a lot of things in his head, a lot of things in his heart and his mind that can change your life if you take action, if you take these tidbits, if you take these gems and take action. He's going to tell you about what he's got going on these days and what it took for him to get there. Without further ado, I welcome Marc Bynum to the No Job Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Najee? How's everything?
Everything's great, man. I'm delighted to be here. And even before we begin, I just want to let you guys know, this interview right here is a result of me shooting my shot, right? I didn't have any personal connection to Marc. One day, I read in a book about a woman who emailed all the people she wanted to talk to in business, and she said a lot of people responded. So I DM'd the people I wanted to talk to in business, and Marc graciously responded, "Don't be afraid to shoot your shot, man."
And I think that's key. That's going to be the first nugget. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to shoot your shot because, I didn't know you. And as a new generation of people, I definitely wanted to impart and see what I can do to help, just because I like to gain information. I like to gain knowledge. And I also like to see entrepreneurs and people that want to do their own thing. And if I can help out in any way, I'm going to do that. So thank you for shooting your shot. And now we're here. And it didn't even take a long time. It was just like a week. It was just like, yo, let's hit it. All right, let's go.
Yes. Honestly, it's awesome what can happen if you just start trying. And I know that message is going to come through in our conversation.
Absolutely.
You just start doing it. So I want to start at the beginning, maybe even before the beginning. I just want to know, can you tell me about the first instance or the first period in your life when you started to connect the idea of being a chef, of cooking for people, with making a living and getting paid? Was it a hobby first how did it all?
It was, I guess you could call it a hobby. Like, I always watched my mom cook. I always did that. Like, every time that me and my boys would go out, we'd be in the yard, we'd be playing, and I would come in the house and I would just cook. And I would cook based off of seeing my mom cook. Pork and beans was a favorite. You know what I'm saying? She didn't let me cook on the stove too much, so I had to get creative and use the microwave at times. Hot dogs in the microwave is not the jam. Bread in the microwave. Like, once you take the bread out the microwave and then like 15 seconds in, it's great, but then the bread gets like super duper hard. So I didn't like the way it was. So I'm not a microwave type of person, but that's how I first got my feet wet in it. Just watching my mom, seeing how it was, enjoying the creativity of it. There was always freedom in cooking. And shout out to my mom and shout out to everybody. But seeing how my mom was received in the church, you know what I'm saying? We would be walking down the street and you'd be like, yo, your mom is a great cook, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, that's great. You know what I'm saying? But then getting my own feel for it and dealing with, when I was younger, just depression and how it helped me to just evolve as a person and create a lane for myself. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I did. And then it wasn't really until I went to BOCES, you know what I'm saying? And it was a fight to get into BOCES in high school just because of the criteria that they wanted, and they didn't want to have me do it. But thanks to my mom, she was just like, push, push, push. And then so we got in there. And then from that time, the first day I got into BOCES, I got a knife in my hand, and they were just like, we want to move you over here. We want to do this. So it was just like a natural order of things.
Sure. So it seems like you had a knack for it. The right people started to recognize it. They might not have recognized it at first, but once you got in front of the right people, the gift was seen and encouraged. And I want to know, you were obviously pretty young. Before that point, did any discouragement you experienced make you think maybe cooking's not the thing for me, or was this always something you just had to do?
This was something that I always wanted to do because I knew I couldn't sit at a desk. I can't sit at a desk. If I sit at a desk for a long period of time, me and my sister were just in a meeting, and it was my sister, and we're going over business stuff, and I'm sitting there and I'm dozing off. Like, that's just me. But I could stay on my feet for 36 hours at a time. But no discouragement. I know that in some families, they'll be like, no, you can't be a cook. It's subservient. It's just that. My mom, she's a very intelligent woman. She was just like, people are always going to be sick. People are always going to need to eat. So, and this was 27 years ago, 28 years ago. There was no Food Network. There was no cooking channel. She was like, you can make a living off of it. But there wasn't like real money per se. So if I enjoyed it, that's what I did. And that's what I lent myself to. And I literally stopped playing football and basketball and wrestling to cook. So in high school, I made a decision. I'm not going to go pro. That's not happening. I'm not going to go to college for X. And I just didn't like the way they treated me. You know what I'm saying? One of my coaches said something to me that resonated with me and still resonates with me to this day, where I was just like, I can't play for you. So he called me stupid. He was just like, don't go. He's like, why would you go to BOCES to learn a trade when only thing that you're really good at is playing ball? Yeah, no. So I was done with that.
Right.
And then I just put 1,000% into cooking, and that's what I did.
That's dope to hear. So what stood out to me is that at a young age, in high school still, you cut out something that wasn't going to work for you.
Yeah.
I know people, and I'm guilty of this sometimes myself. Let me wait for you to finish. I know people that can't give up TV, their favorite TV show at night, in order to be able to spend the time doing what they need to do to advance their dream or what they feel the purpose of their life is. They can't give up 3 hours of Game of Thrones every night, let alone quit something that can be seen as productive, like being on the football team.
But it's a sacrifice for the greater good of yourself. Like if you can't sacrifice something for a little while, why should you ring? If you can't say, no, I'm not going to do this. It's basic. If you can't fast, why should you reap the benefits of fasting? And in anything, if you want to be great at something, you have to commit to it. And I was committed at a young age. And it's no secret, but it's also, for me, it was like, if I give it my all, regardless of how it turns out, I know I gave it my all. But if I go 50% and it doesn't work out, so I sacrificed. So I didn't play basketball. I didn't play football. You know what I'm saying? And I gave 100% to food. Right. I loved it. And I knew my future was in it. And like speaking to, like I was a preacher since I was 14 years old. And I saw how my business acumen was so much better. So I was just like, I never wanted to have to go to a place and preach and then ask people for money. Because if I go to a place and preach and then I'm asking them for money, I'm going to tailor what I'm saying so everybody feels good, just so I can make money.
Right.
And I can make a living. No, I want to have my own money. So when I go to places, I can tell you exactly how I feel.
Sure.
And then we can keep it moving.
Right.
So the sacrifice, and I tell people all the time, and there's a constant with me, it's freedom. Freedom to do. Freedom to say yes and freedom to say no. The power of no is so important. And from a young age, I always wanted to be where nobody could ever say, well, you made this because of me. No.
Yeah.
So I sacrificed. And then me sacrificing, it takes a lot. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot out of you. Because in that sacrifice, you see everybody doing certain things like, yo, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. That's not your light. That's not your path. It's important that we understand our path younger. You know, because let's say you decide to do something at 15. You give it 12 years. It doesn't work out. You're 27. You could scrap that. Take what you've learned from it and then start something new. But if you start late, you're always going to be behind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I do with my son. That's what I try and do with kids. Like I coach kids at Hawks and stuff like that. I was just like, yo, well, I'm going to go to the league. It's not about going to the league. Make sure that your college is paid for.
Right.
And then get your college education and make some money.
Right.
You don't need $1 million. If you can make $220,000 a year in New York, you'll be okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It won't be, you don't necessarily have to be flashy. Make sure your credit is good. Make sure this is good. Make sure that, like, now I'm just dropping gems based off of what I've learned through my situations. And that's important to me. But it starts first with a sacrifice.
Yeah. And it's, what I'm hearing from you is that you sacrificed so that later on you didn't have to compromise. When I'm at a desk job, and I think a lot of people listening, when they're at a desk job, the reason it feels bad is not just because the work might be boring or uninspiring to them, which it is, but it's also the fact they feel like they're compromising who they are. Like, I'm not supposed to be here right now doing this. Well, if you don't want to have to compromise to make a living, then you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere else to be able to make a living in a way that makes you feel free.
But sometimes your sacrifice is sitting at that desk job so you can then later on not have to be at that desk job.
Right.
But you have to plan the work and work the plan. If you say in 10 years, this is what I need, I'm going to build my business and build my pipeline. So my 9 to 5 takes care of, me, my family, everything that needs to be taken care of. Let me build my pipeline. Once these two meet and I don't need this 9 to 5 anymore, I'm out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's promotion. I've had my own car cleaning business. I've had my own promotion business. I've had so many businesses. But what I know is if you mind your own business while minding your own business, you know what I'm saying, you'll be okay.
Right.
But you'll never get that without a sacrifice.
I got you. And a lot of our conversation, even before the cameras turned on, you talked about not doing something just to get over on somebody or to get some money. Of course, you need money and you want to make money, and money can be a just reward for work that you do and the things that you put out in the world. But can you talk about the place you cook from, the place you open a restaurant from, the spirit of that?
I love it so much. I open up a restaurant from a place of need. Not everybody really knows what they need until it's actually there. So I start off from the base. I start off from what it's going to look like, how it's going to feel. Like when I first opened up Hush, I would go there every day. I would pray. I would set the atmosphere for just greatness, you know, and then build on everything else. The food ultimately is primary, but in the grand scheme of things, it's secondary. I wanted people to walk into the place and feel at home, relaxed. And then I also wanted to, depending on the concept, whether it be a noodle concept, a Mexican concept, embody the culture, submerge myself in the culture. If I'm going to study tacos for 90 days, every day I'm going to eat tacos. I'm not just going to invest in my business. I'm going to invest in the culture that I'm looking to emulate, because it's not a money grab. It's paying homage and respect to what they do. So noodle, pay homage. A lot of money has gone into noodle, whether it be, you know what I'm saying, buying books, whether it be, you know what I'm saying, investing in causes, going to different restaurants for the people that I think that do it best. So I'm just not pulling from it. I'm giving to it. You know what I'm saying? In order for you to get, you have to give. You know what I'm saying? You just have to understand the law of attraction.
Right.
And then also taking my spirit and my soul and putting it into the food. Then building the atmosphere, then training the people. Like everything goes into it. It's opening up a restaurant is a living, breathing organism. Opening up any business is a living, breathing organism. So until it's ready to walk on its own, you have to put it in a stroller. You have to have it, like it goes through the stages, and understanding you're only as strong as the people who you put in place. And they must know your vision.
Right.
And if they're not with your vision, as much as you might like them and you could hang out with them outside of that space, the people that are in that space have to be for that vision.
Right.
That's everything that goes into building the restaurant, the homage, like it's multi-pronged. And only if you pay attention to, let's say that there's 10 things on the table, pay attention to all 10 of them, something is always going to fall by the wayside.
Right.
And then that's where it's a constant tweaking, constant nestling. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure it out. But it's all in fun. It's all in, like when I cook, like it's just like an escape. Like I'm not there. I'm in a different universe. It's just everything is quiet. Everything moves slow. Like when I was playing basketball as a point guard, if you're on the court and you're doing what you're supposed to, you see the next step. You know what I'm saying? I see my boy cutting. I see this pick and roll. I see this guy coming off the weak side. You know what I'm saying? But then you also have the people saying, yo, pick left, pick right. Like everything just works together. And that's what a restaurant is, but that's what any business is. And if you build your team right, it's going to be successful.
Right.
So, some businesses were built right. Some businesses weren't. You know what I'm saying? Some people that were on your team were great. Mm-hmm. Some people were great for the moment.
Right.
But to build it, I think it just comes from a place of genuine love and appreciation for the business.
Okay.
And wanting people to consume and fellowship. You know what I'm saying? Opening up restaurants is just like a fellowship. That was like my pulpit. I would go and people would come in and we would speak and we could speak about anything. And that's the dope part of it. And
right.
like Hush and Farmingdale, like 1920s Harlem Renaissance, Prohibition, like that was my baby. That's the one that started everything.
Right. I listened to a few things online. I read a little article that was done back when you were starting Hush. And I'm a little familiar with the history of it. But here's what I know. I know it wasn't easy. And I think a lot of times people think, if I love it, if I want to do it, if God created me to do it and intends for me to do it, then it's going to be easy. I mean, we can talk about how valid the American dream is, but a lot of people have the American fantasy.
Yeah.
Where they think, if I love this, it's coming. Can you tell us about some of the resistance to opening up Hush Bistro?
The resistance came from everywhere. Why are you opening up in this town? Why are you opening up in my town? People like you shouldn't open up in this town. There were no African-American businesses on that town. Contractors would take my money, but then tell me, I don't think that you should be opening up. Like, it was just, you can't charge this. You can't sell that. Like, you have no clue. And that goes back to people really don't know what they need until you show them. So it was my dream. Like, I saw it. And the backdrop of me getting that space was I was about to sign a lease. Same block, couple of stores down. I go there, call up the guy. He doesn't call me back. Okay. Then I found out he signed a lease with somebody else. This was like my 7th go at trying to find a space. I was like, you know what? I'm signing a lease today. I'm finding me a space. Walked over Conklin. Place was on the left. The place that I was looking at was a restaurant, so it was an easy build. Had the hood, had everything. It was great. This place wasn't. I was like, I don't care. How much is the rent? She was like, $1,500. Bet. I'll sign the lease. Now, mind you, I didn't have the $1,500. I didn't have the $4,500 needed for a month's rent, month's security, and fee. I didn't have money to build it. Didn't even know what the concept was going to be because I hadn't really been in the space yet. Because I was going to open up a sandwich spot up the road, not a fine dining restaurant. Walked in the space. Okay. Go to Virginia. Driving home from Virginia, I hear Hush. I'm just like, okay, no problem. I'll be quiet, God. And he was like, no, Hush. I was just like, all right. That's what's up. Now, my mantra, it's on his cup. The food speaks. The food speaks. I just listen. Hush. Play on the word speakeasy. Prohibition. 1920s Harlem Renaissance. Okay, I see you, God. Call up my people. Hush Bistro is the name of it. My designer's in Florida. Shout out to Medium 4. He's like, okay, bet. He's like, what's the premise? 1920s Harlem Renaissance, Prohibition, music, food and music go together. Say less. Turn to my wife. I was like, Hush Bistro is the name of the restaurant. Oh, it's Hush Bistro? I thought it was MB Bistro. I thought it was this. I thought it was the burger bar. I was just like, God said hush. Heard that. Boom. Then, once that happens, everything just starts to come into play. Now I'm just like, I got to get a consulting gig because I got to pay this. I got to do this. So now everything went to the business. Faith-based project. When I signed the lease, I didn't even have enough money in the bank to cover that check. But I believe God, and I made a sacrifice. I was like, yo, what's the worst that could happen? Right. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes in business, you have to say, it doesn't always work out right, but you have to make that step. When I was a chef at a place, and I wanted to do like a club night, and nobody wanted to assist. Nobody. The owners, they was like, listen, we'll give you the space. That's it. So I did my own club promotion, did this, did that. It was a bust. My family showed up. A couple other people showed up. Cost me a lot of money in promotion. Cost me a lot of money to pay security. Cost me a lot of money to pay my DJ. Owners came up to me that night. They was like, it was a bust. I was like, yeah. They was like, but we see the vision. We'll help. That was 20 years ago. They still do that. You know what I'm saying? Party on the park.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying?
Man, that's a crazy story, because what I draw from that is the fact that people often don't do things because they wonder about the bad things that can happen if they fail. What about the good things that can happen when you fail? That concept just dawned on me. Like, you have no idea what your failure is going to lead to. You think it's going to destroy you.
But is it a failure? Like failure, is it a loss? Because we could take a loss. We'll take an L. You know what I'm saying? Because in a season, 82 games, you know what I'm saying, nobody goes 82-0. You could take an L. But I'm not going to fail. Because I can take a loss versus a win. But my championship, I'm going to win. So it's not a failure. It's a loss.
Right.
And we take losses. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we take losses in seasons. You know, we all know that from X to Z is a bad season in the restaurant. But then there's summer. You know what I'm saying? Summer is a cure-all. You know what I'm saying? That's where we can take losses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've been divorced twice. I took losses. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to find the right one and she's going to be with me for the rest of my life and we're going to have great, you know what I'm saying, times and memories. So we take losses, but we have to learn from those losses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have 3 championship wins in the Chop Kitchen, but I have 2 losses. And a loss should fuel you to do better. You know what I'm saying? It's only failure if after your loss, you just sit and you sulk in it and you wallow in it. And then where's your team? You know what I'm saying? No individual person makes great things happen. Your team does. And if you're the leader of the team, sometimes that leader, listen, I will go into the restaurant sometimes and I will have a bad day. And I will have a bad day based off something that went on in the house.
Right.
I would walk in, my whole team would be like, oh, we're going to have a bad one. And my sister would be like, I think you need to go home. Like, and it's one thing to have a team, it's another thing for you to listen to your team. Because if they're a team, they can cover your slack. At least they should, you know. And that's where it is. So it's not a loss. I mean, it's not a failure. It's a loss.
Right.
But the grand scheme of things is you're going to win. And that goes to sacrifices. Because we lose. It's nature. If you don't lose. I remember I had a business with a guy, and I'm saying he closed the business because we were starting to get rough. And he said, you know what I'm saying, I've never lost at anything. I said, that's very sad. I was going to ask the problem. You know what I'm saying? If you've never lost, if you've never experienced struggle, when struggle hits, you're just like, whatever. You know, that's like Urban Meyer.
Right.
Urban Meyer is a coach. You know what I'm saying? Every time that it gets hard for him, all of a sudden his health is bad and then he has to quit and then he finds the next big thing. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But in your struggle, you really find out who you are in your struggle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You dig deep. It's like, you know what I'm saying, because in struggle at times, you have your team sports and then you have something like wrestling. You know, and some people like, I want to wrestle. I'm like, you can't blame nobody.
Right.
What do you mean? Basketball, you could blame the center. He didn't make the shot. You could blame this person. You could blame that person. I was like, wrestling, it's just you and another person on the mat.
Yeah.
And it's you imposing your will on that person. That's what struggle tries to do to you. You should overcome that struggle.
Right.
So, you know.
Absolutely. And you talked about how things sort of flow from the head down. If you are the leader of your team and you come in the restaurant in a funky mood, you're going to mess things up for everybody, including the end customer at the end.
The energy's off.
Yeah. And I did a little research. I know that you've had some guys that you've that worked for you at one time, went ahead and started their own restaurant. And you were a mentor to them, essentially. Can you talk about the experience of mentoring for you. And I'm also curious, did you have a mentor, or were you really figuring this out for yourself, which drives you to make it easier for other people?
I really didn't have a mentor. Like, there was one guy, Dan Doherty, shout out to Dan, who I never went to culinary school. So when I was at the Marriott, I was just like, listen, I want to learn. He was like, come in early. This is what I want you to do. I'll teach you mother sauces, butchering, so forth and so on. Boom, I did that. But real mentorship, no. Like Jay-Z, I consider him my mentor. I'm saying, I like when they take their ones and then they spin off into other things. Like Jay was rap. And then from rap, he started other things. And that's what it was. I've never, in our community, it sucks to say, but like, if I did have a mentor, it was going to be my mom. You know what I'm saying? She is the matriarch of the house. Her brain trust is dope. But a male figure to say, yes, I want to emulate this, even in the church. You know what I'm saying? My church that I went to was my aunt. She was the pastor. There was never really a male figure. So everything that I learned, and you know what I'm saying, my dad was great, but then I had a father that I never knew. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like tossed and driven. I never want anybody to feel like that. So if I see a person trying to do something, I definitely try and mentor them. And mentorship isn't nice. I think people think that when you have a mentor, they're just like, oh yeah, this is, no. That's not Arnetta. That's not my mom. So I'm going to give it to you as it was given to me. And it might not be nice all the time. You know, and there's many people that, like my guys that still come to me, they quit. They were like, F you. I'm out of here. I don't like you. You're mean to me. You boss me around. You talk to me demeaning. All right. I'll see you in 6 months, maybe. A couple of weeks later, Chef, I just want to say thank you for everything that you've imparted unto me. It's not easy. Like the monotone.
Yeah.
But I've had dudes literally walk out on me crying. But then it was like, yo, if it wasn't for you, you know, I wouldn't take it as serious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, when your parents are beating you, it never feels good. But then as you get older, like, I can understand this. You know what I'm saying? You know, biblical, and we go to church, like, you'll understand it better by and by. Like, things that we hear now won't resonate until we get older. But it's in your cachet. You know what I'm saying? The seeds that we sow are sown for a time.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't understand what the watering is that's taking place until it springs up. And it's just like, oh, shoot, this was what old girl said to me like years ago. And I thought she was just playing games. And it's real. So as long as you're open, you know what I'm saying, you can learn. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's a mentor is only as strong as his mentee. Like, I don't necessarily talk food. I talk business. I talk life, you know, because the food part is simple. To me, it's simple because your palate is different than my palate. Your upbringing is different than my upbringing. I'm going to teach you technique. I'm not going to teach you my flavor necessarily because your flavor is different. Everybody's different. And that's in business too. You know, you just need goals, and you need to have standards, and you need to have customer service, and you need to understand what your margins are. Like, that's important. Everything else is secondary. Mentorship to me is super duper important because that's your lasting legacy. Because when I'm gone, you know what I'm saying, I think about it a little bit more than I should. But like, when I'm gone, you know what I'm saying, what are my kids going to say about me? You know what I'm saying? What are the people that have been around me going to say about me? Like, when I'm in my casket, when they're standing there, like, did I help you? You know what I'm saying? You might say, and I have something that says 97% of the people that you ask will tell you that I'm an asshole. But what would the 3% say? Because that 3% are the people that I actually invested in because I knew that they would take it to the next level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to always give everybody your information because, just like you said at the beginning of the program, not everybody's going to put it into action. Never cast your pearls among swine. So when you find people that are going to take what they have and take it to the next level based off of how you're going to flower and water them, those are the people that you invest in. Because your time is all that you have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 27 years of cooking. You know what I'm saying? 10 years of owning, 21 years of being a father. You know what I'm saying? Only being 42, being young, and working for everyone else. You'll never get your time back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And those are the things that you need to live for. And when I see people wasting their time, knowing that that's one thing that you can't get back, I'm going to try and help them out.
Right.
If you listen, okay. If you don't, no problem. Because when 10, 15 years from now, you're like, yo, I should have listened to Chef 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd have had more time.
Yeah.
I'd have been able to spend time with my kids. My business would be better. My failure, or should I say my losses, let's keep it in context. My losses were so that you could gain. And I'm okay with that. What I don't like is when I tell you about my losses and how you don't have to take it, and then you disregard it. You'll never redeem that time, and you'll never redeem that money.
Right, right. Yeah, that's cool because it not only reframes what we might call failures to losses, but I also hear you reframing us to think about losses in that they're not net losses. They're losses to me, maybe in my lifetime, maybe not even in my whole lifetime. They're losses to me right now in this season, but there's gonna be a net increase in the wisdom I'm able to pass along to the next generation. It's a net increase to my legacy, and that's dope. And it's funny you mentioned, the Bible and spiritual things, because when you were talking about your mentorship and how it can be hard when it's brutally honest, but it's what's necessary, it makes me think of the book of James, the first chapter, where it says, consider it joy when you face trials and temptations of many kinds, because the developing of your patience develops perseverance. And I also connect that to somewhere in Hebrews where it says that, earthly fathers discipline you for a period of time. You can understand it when it comes to your parents. Most people grow up and they get why their parents were strict about this or that, but people don't understand it about God and the way he designs their life. How do you know this isn't just your father being hard on you because you need to learn something for later on? Because
it's necessary because everybody's so short-sighted that they see the now. They don't see the future. You know what I'm saying? You have to see, I think that a great gift that I have is I see it all sides. So, I see it from the perspective of now and why it's hard, but I also see the perspective of now, why it's hard, but why it's going to make life easier and better later. And I'll take my losses so that I can teach someone else. You know what I'm saying? I'll take my losses so my sons and my daughter don't have to take these losses. You know what I'm saying? I will design it where they understand it. And their goal and their mission is to help somebody else understand it. And that's what I try and do with all my people. You know what I'm saying? I'm much harder on my black men and women, and people might not think so, but I'm much harder on them than I am on anybody else. And I'll tell them in an interview, if I'm reprimanding you, it's because I love you. You don't know me. You don't know of me like that, but I want to see you do well. I want to see you succeed. And I think that for me, regardless of who I speak to, anywhere in the world, they look at me weird because I'm just like, they're like, well, what do you want from this? I just want to bless you. I just want to help you win. That's all. I come to your restaurant. I don't need free food. I just want to support you because that reluctance that you have is going to prevent you from finding somebody that's really going to help you out. So let me show you what it is for people to just come in and invest in you because of who you are, not because they need something from you. Black people are very standoffish. We always have our guard up, rightfully so. But even in the spirit, we have our guard up, and there's so many layers that we have to pull off to get into the spirit because we have to always be hard and have our guard up. So I try and teach my brothers and sisters, you don't always need your guard up. Like, you have to, yes. But if somebody is showing themselves friendly, be friendly to them.
Right.
And that's what I try and tell people. And that's why I try and invest in my people. But I am hard. I'm not a nice.
Yeah.
I'm not a nice person.
Yeah, I get that. But nice isn't always what people need, as you stated. You might not be helping somebody by being nice.
No, because you have to be hard on people. You have to, because everything isn't roses and daisies. I'm saying, and there's going to be struggle. But then who are you in that struggle? Who are you in that fire? You know what I'm saying? Nothing good comes through no struggle.
Right.
Like in childbearing, you know. Thank you, Eve. I appreciate that. Well, it don't affect me. But you understand what I'm saying? But in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? In the pressing of the coal, the diamonds come. You know what I'm saying? Everything that in the pearl, like it's just pressure. Pressure creates.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And in order for you to have anything that's worth anything, there has to be pressure. Because then when pressure comes in, I thought that I was at the height where I needed to be. And there was a fall.
Right.
And I was just like, why? And God said to me one day, he was like, I'd rather you fall from 2 stories up and survive than fall from 40 stories up and die. There's things that you need to learn in your fall that at any other height would be death. But in his wisdom, I'll let you fall right here. I'll let you even fall from right here. Because by the time you get here, I've had to put everything into you. Because if you fall from here, my son, my daughter, there's no coming back from it.
Right.
So you just have to be wise in understanding who you are and understanding how things work, but also expanding your horizon. You know what I'm saying? Like we were speaking about before, expanding your food palette, expanding, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things that other cultures and there's other people, like that's why there's strength and diversity. And until you can encompass all those things and really understand how life and this world really works, you're at a disadvantage.
Right.
You're at a handicap.
And clearly, when it comes to cooking, you always had a knack for it and you were always drawn to it. But a lot of hard work went into getting better and into honing your craft. So I would love to hear from you what it took or what it takes, because you're still working, always getting better. Because I have a saying, I call it be your own evil boss, right? Because a lot of people hate their boss at work because of how much pressure they put on them. Not understanding if you leave that job and try to do something for yourself, you're going to have to be harder on yourself than that boss ever was on you. So can you talk about what have you subjected yourself to in order to get better at this?
In a male predominant or white male industry, a lot. And I've been cooking since I was 15 years old, 14 years old. And the names that I was called in the kitchen, just not getting the respect, which in any kitchen is customary. But, you know, being called the N-word, that's the N in the kitchen, like stuff like that, being passed up for jobs that I knew that I was qualified for just because. But that's okay. That was always okay for me because since I was in junior high school, elementary school, I had my own business. I was, you know what I'm saying, hustling candy out of lockers. And then the stash house got hit. Yeah. But, you know what I'm saying, that's a loss. So you just got to make a better stash house, you know. And the stash house was a lock on the second floor that nobody used to mess with. Somebody clipped my lock and took all my candy. But anyway, but from that you learn, you know, and, you know, for me, it was just a building and a growing and a building, a fail, or should I say, a loss. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to write that down.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I love food. But the food was the easy part. It's the business aspect. Because everybody can cook. Not everybody knows percentages, money, you know what I'm saying? So never going to school. I like in this first trip with my restaurants, like LeBron going to South Beach. He never went to college. He learned the winning formula when he went and played with Pat.
Yes.
Then he brought it to the Cavs. Now he's at the Lakers. So I have a multi-million-dollar education because I've lost millions of dollars. Right. You know, but it's great because I'd rather lose a couple of million than to lose 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it takes to gain. And so I know, back in the conversation, right? We were talking about the process of starting up Hush, didn't have the money to pay the rent, and you realized, okay, I need to do some consulting gigs in order to be able to pay this rent. And I thought that was interesting that consulting, which is something you do now, wasn't born out of you just wanted to consult people. Maybe it did develop into a passion.
I had the consulting before I actually had the restaurant itself.
Okay.
And it's hard to explain to people that you're a consultant.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's like, I'm a basketball player. Well, what team do you play for? I'm a chef. Okay, where's your restaurant? I just saw you on TV. I did this. So as a consultant, it was just easier for me to do it that way because working with people isn't necessarily my strong suit because I'm strong-minded and I think I know how businesses should go. So I would work for somebody for 6 months, fix it, and then I would take a couple of days off because I would work 7 days a week until it's fixed. Well, you took 2 days off. Well, yeah, ultimately, it's a 5-day work week. Everything is running smooth. But you took 2 days off. Is everything okay? Everything is great. Was there a problem? No, there wasn't a problem. So I don't have to work 80 hours a week. I could work 50 and be a normal person. Yeah, that's not going to work for us. Okay, no problem. So ultimately, I just consulted to fix their business. And now I'm losing my job because I don't want to work 8 days a week. So it's just like, bet, I'll create my own business. Me being on Chop was out of the glass ceiling.
Okay. What do you mean?
I'm the chef. I just increased your business by 20% just because the food is better. You know what I'm saying? When I worked at Tellers, their social media wasn't big. So I was putting pictures on Twitter. I'm saying not MySpace. I think it was Facebook at the time, so forth and so on. More people were coming in. This is '08 in the middle of the recession. We're up 15%. I'm doing YouTube videos, how I want to open my own business, how I want to do this, how I want to do that. And I got pulled into the office. They was just like, you're tweeting at work. I was just like, it's bringing in business. Well, you're on your phone at work. Well, one, it's my BlackBerry. My inventory sheets on. Like, this is, like, everything is connected. Like, how everything is now, I was doing that before. Right. And it was like, well, it's a problem. Well, the server's complaining. Are we going to let the inmates run the asylum? Because I'm a boss, and they're my servers. Well, okay, no problem. So, always, I got signed up to do Chopped. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And they want to film here. No. If I increase your business by 25%, I'm not a partner. That money goes into your pocket. You're still going to be giving me my same little check. You know what I'm saying? Not giving me a bonus, so forth and so on. More black people have come into your building since I've been here because they know that I'm here. Your food has gotten better. You have 3 stars Times, 3 stars Newsday. They haven't been in your building in 10 years. The reason why they are here is because I'm here. All these things said, I'm increasing your worth. You might think it, you might not think it, but men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Right. We don't want you to do it. Okay. We're going in a different direction. Okay, no problem. We're going in the right direction right now. Now, mind you, I was let go after a couple of weeks of being part 2 cover of Newsday.
It's crazy.
4-page article, not necessarily on the restaurant, the chef. Tide is changing. Social media is coming into play now. Now, it's not the institution that's getting the recognition. It's the person that's running the institution as the chef. So people started to feel a certain type of way. Chop comes up. Now I'm at a different place in Hop Hog. I film there. That's where everything starts to move. So that's where I started my consulting. And then because I knew I couldn't keep on working for people. But then I had to open up a restaurant because it was just like, well, where's your restaurant? Where's your restaurant? Where's your restaurant? I'm a consultant. Oh, okay. It's like, well, what's that? Yeah. So, and then I opened up Hush. And I always wanted to open up, but it wasn't the right time, but it was the right time.
Right. So I understand that the consulting developed because the tides changed in the world. People started to, you could love a restaurant. You didn't know who the chefs were.
Yeah.
And that started to change.
Yeah. Between Food Network, the Cooking Channel, Top Chef, like all of those things changed. And it's just like, well, who's the chef?
Yeah. If the chef, and if the chef went over to Hotpog, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
I was here for the chef.
And then that's what that's what people fear. It's just like, well, what happens if the chef leaves? Make it where the chef doesn't leave. You know what I'm saying? Make him a partner. Like, if you want consistency, you have to then make it where the person is going to be consistent. Take out all the variables. For me, a cook comes in, he's just like, I need $400 a week. Okay. I'll give you $550. If I give you $550, $400 is what you asked me for. So you was probably making $300 prior to coming here, because you're not just going to ask you for a little bit more money. So I'm giving you a decent cut more. Only thing you got to worry about is my food.
Right.
You get your check. A couple of weeks later, you got a new pair of kicks. A couple of weeks later, you got a new coat. A couple of weeks later, you got a new watch. You bought yourself a new knife. You're not stacking your bread up.
Yeah.
2 months later, I need a raise. No, you don't.
Yeah. You need a mindset change. Yeah.
Like, yo, I just gave you double what you were asking for.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to mind your business. You need to learn how to save your bread.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to do that. I'm not giving you a raise. So now you're pissed off at me because you felt that I did you dirty. Meanwhile, 2 months ago, you was just like, chef is the best thing since sliced bread. I asked him for $4. He gave me freaking $550.
Yeah.
I was making $300 before. I'm making $250 more than I was before. I'm trying to teach you. Can't be taught. You got to go.
Right. Absolutely.
You know? And that's what it is. And that was what was with me. It was just like, how do I change? And then in me changing, I had to go from consulting to having a business. And then once the business was great for everybody else and not for me, then I had to consult some more. You know, because the first 3 years of a restaurant, you really don't make any money. And if you fail for underfunding. If you don't have enough money, God forbid, you have a good week. And the culmination of that was COVID. Everybody was just like, oh, these restaurants are so great. They're busy. Go ahead and have 2 bad weeks. Go ahead, have 3 bad weeks. And people don't understand, like, it came at such a bad time. Because February is when everybody's ramping up for Valentine's Day, summer, you know what I'm saying? All the places on the water, they're doing freaking $1 million a week. So they just struggle through winter. And now they're not going to have a summer.
Right.
So all the big boys, all the little boys, everybody that thought that this was never going to happen, it happens. You know, I had 6 places. You know, I closed down 1 to keep Huntington open. And I just did a whole bunch of moving around. And thankfully, I had like 120 employees all in. And
this is when the pandemic hit?
No, this is before.
Okay.
I got out of everything a year and a half before the pandemic.
Okay.
I've just been consulting, and I needed a breather.
Yeah.
A break.
Yeah.
My body.
I feel that.
I had my daughter. Went through another divorce. It was just like, breathe, relax. Sure. Because at some point, if everything is happening the same, you can't blame everybody else.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? As you get older, be like, yo, I was losing employees, good employees, very good employees, because I was stubborn. And after a while, you have to say, is it them or is it me? If there's one constant, if you're the control, it's you. You need to change. You know what I'm saying? And that's in relationships, that's in business. And it was just like, yo, I need to change. And that's where everything got sold off. I took a step back. You know what I'm saying? COVID happened, which was a great thing. I did better in COVID than, you know, a lot of people. Because it brings you back to one. It brings you back to, now it's just you and the food.
Right.
For me, it was just me and what I do. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, it was you and what you do. So I converted this into my home space. I always love to cook. I don't necessarily always like to cook for people.
Okay.
I love the art of creation. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like to build concepts. That's why I like to immerse myself in different food and genres. You know what I'm saying? You have the Asian spices here. You have the Indian spices. You have, you know what I'm saying, the cocktails. And, you know, did a lot of fermenting this summer. planting, growing, like fresh fruit, vegetables, going to the farms. You know, I think COVID really helped me see what I want my life to be.
Okay.
And it's not about working.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I could strip down to everything that I just need and make sure that my kids are taken care of and still enjoy my craft and travel and still have an indelible mark on my legacy and what I want to do, that's necessary for me.
Yeah, 100%. Money is obviously important, but we do tend to get caught up on it. I mean, just earlier this week, you know, my daughter's almost 8 months old.
That's
on
what's up.
Friday, yeah, she woke up in a happy mood, all smiling and everything. Usually on Friday mornings before my desk job, I'm working on stuff for the podcast and the brand. And I almost didn't spend time with her that morning, but I thought to myself, look, on the path to the riches you want, don't sacrifice the riches that you have. Mm-hmm. Don't neglect them. Because why do I want more freedom? To be able to do what? Spend more time with my wife and her. Mm-hmm. So I can't put the cart before the horse and mess the whole system up. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you sharing that. So these days, is it mostly consulting for you these days?
And
What's
catering.
Up these days?
Like,
Consulting and catering.
Yeah, I call it like COVID catering. Like I'll do parties for like 10 people in their home. A lot of people are still scared to go out. Even with the vaccine coming and stuff like that. Like this summer, I would do baskets. They'd be like, I want to go to the beach. I'd be like, okay, no problem. I'll make you a basket. You know what I'm saying? Lobster rolls or something like that. Put it in a basket, whole picnic basket, couple of bottles of wine. They would take it. Paella parties were big. Birria taco parties were big. People want me to do birria tacos. But like, I was just getting back to what I normally did and just cooking and enjoying it. People call me up there, it's like, yo, chef, we know that you don't have the restaurant. Is there anything that you're making that we can taste? I was like, yeah, no problem. I have my menu up here that before I had the surgery, I was going to start to do Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub from here.
Oh.
And that's what I did at first. When COVID first happened, I was just doing meals from the home. I was doing a good chunk of change. Just people, no Grubhub, no none of that, none of the delivery services. People just coming from as far as Levittown just to come and get a sandwich, a burger, or something like that. Some people was just like, you know, I haven't had pad thai in a while. Like you could literally call me up and I would just make it and they would come and pick it up. And I did great with that. But it was just getting back to one. And then being away for so long, I stopped because I started to get too busy and I couldn't go to the beach like I wanted to. I couldn't wake up and go on my bike ride. Or I was just like, that's not what I want to do anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I got back into consulting. But then everybody's like, well, we need you here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was like, no, that's not my gig. That's not what and you have to give yourself boundaries because I'm not getting burnt out again. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I want to enjoy my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I had a kid when I was 21 years old. I've been working for my children and my family all my life. I still do. But at some point, you need to be happy.
Right.
You know, so you assess the situation, you change things that need to be changed, and you move on from there. But it's a constant tweaking. The one thing I miss companionship.
Okay.
I think that's super important.
Sure.
You know, you sit home, like today's Super Bowl. You just want to cook some wings, sit, relax, open up a bottle, and just chill. Yeah. And it's great, but it shouldn't be lonely.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But things that you learn over the course of relationships, you know what I'm saying, you take into the next relationships. All the good and not the bad. Communication is key. Even in business, communication is key. Mm-hmm. Communication is key for everything. Mm-hmm. And knowing when to speak and knowing when to shut up. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's super important. So everything in life, when you go through life, you can't just be like, well, that's the luck of the draw. No. What do you learn from this situation? How does it make you better as a person? How does it help you make your legacy better? Like when we spoke about, like you have your daughter. Mm-hmm. Dope. Like I have 2 boys and then I have my daughter. There's no feeling like, hi, Dad. Like, yeah. There's no feeling like that. You know what I'm saying? And even when I was younger, like I'd be upset at work and I would call the house just to listen to my kids, just so nobody would die. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, yo, I gotta go make a phone call. Like, why? Because I'm ready to stab somebody in the face. Yeah. And I need to hear one of my boys to say, hey, Dad, what's going on? Namaste. And then keep it moving. Yeah. But like it's important. Everything that we do is important.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not important to the grand scheme of everybody in this world.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to your world.
Right.
I'm saying, like we spoke about before.
So, in closing, I just want to know, what do you say to people who feel like I have something I am passionate about, the way that you're passionate about cooking? I have something that I love the way you love cooking, and I feel like I'm naturally good at, but I don't know how to start, whether I should start. I don't know why. Talk to the people who think this just all happened for you just because you love it. How do they transfer this potential into reality?
Don't. Like this industry is super duper great, but it's super duper hard. If you wanna cook, you can cook. But no, like I said before, holidays and occasions, they're not your own. Everybody's not going to follow your recipe. Everybody's not going to follow your vision. So if you want to do it, you can have a leap of faith, but make sure you have that parachute. But like I tell people that are about to go to college, before you decide to invest anything into it, go work in a restaurant for like 6 months for free. See if that's what you want to do. You know, when I consult with people, they was like, I want to open up a restaurant. Well, what did you do before? I was in cosmetics and I made a lot of money. I was like, so you want to burn this money? What do you mean? You ain't going to see it for a while. So they just need to study it, see the margins. You know what I'm saying? 9 out of 10 restaurants, this is pre-pandemic, fail. Pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They say that 30% of restaurants in the pandemic are going to close and never open again. It's like 60%. Mm. Even the people that have billions of dollars don't like to lose money. They will close their restaurants. Mm-hmm. So understand the pros and the cons. Write it down. Make sure it's visible. You know, create a chart for yourself. Mm-hmm. Speak to other business owners like myself. Get all the knowledge that you can, not just about the culinary industry, any industry. Like when I consult on business, any industry. Get the pros and the cons. What's the most that you can make? What's the least that you can make? What's your break even? How much do you need to make a month, a week, a year, so you can pay all your bills and still have money to take care of yourself and live? Mm-hmm. Is it worth it? Mm-hmm. Or is it worth it for you to just go get a job? It's not bad to have a job. Mm-hmm. Like some people think, well, I need to. No, not everybody isn't an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Everybody cannot go through the ebbs and flows of this month I made 60 grand, next month I made 20 grand. How do you balance that out? Mm-hmm. Like, so they have to take those things into consideration. And if you can take those things into consideration and your heart can take it and your spouse can take it and your family can take it, then you move forward with the next step, which is, what is my product? What is my brand? How am I going to brand it? Who's my clientele? Like, before it hits the market, there's 20 steps that you have to go through. Then it can hit the market. And if you don't get deterred and you just say, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go work for Joe Schmo and get my $1,200 a week, then is it worth it to you? Mm-hmm. So study it, understand what it is, perfect it. How much do you need to produce it? Cost it out. It cost me $3 to make this. Then you should be telling it for 12 or 16. Mm-hmm. Can you sell it for 12 or 16? Mm-hmm. No. How much can you sell it for? I can sell it for 10. Okay, so it has to be worth $250, our cost, packaging and everything. Like, break it down. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. If you're at a 70% cost, I don't care if you're doing $2 million a year. If you're doing $1 million a year and you're at 70% cost, you're only making freaking $300,000. And that's $300,000 before rent or your control costs. So let's say your control costs are 200 grand and then everything else is 100 grand. You make no money. Do your numbers. Sit down with an accountant. Build your team. I don't have enough money to afford a team. You can not have enough money to afford a team because the team will tell you yes. But more importantly, listen to your team. If your accountant tells you no, say, what's the reason why I can't do it? Because you're going to go broke. Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
But then they should also say, but if you do this, this, and this, we can come out on top.
Right.
But you got to believe and trust your team. And that's where it is. You know, I love my business.
Mm-hmm.
Could I do something else? I sit down with millionaires and billionaires. They're like, why are you cooking? Because I love it.
Yeah.
But it's not, you can make so much more money just being a business. And that's what I'm ultimately doing now, is I'm becoming a business.
Yeah.
But I still love my cooking. But I would have never been able to sit with them.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the one.
Right.
So it all comes back to what you love to do, because you could do it till you're blue in the face because you love it. You know what I'm saying? And there's no timetable. I have to cook for days. I don't like to sit and talk in meetings. But now I like to sit and talk in meetings, but I like to cook as well. So you have to, but eventually, you know what I'm saying, everything melts together, and hopefully it's successful, and hopefully people will enjoy the product that you push, whatever it is. Just like this right here.
Yeah,
I think this is dope. You know what I'm saying? I think this is super duper dope.
Yeah, it has been an absolutely dope conversation. Thank you so much, Marc, for just saying yes to the conversation. I think it would be impossible to measure the benefit it'll have to me personally and to the people who are listening. We appreciate your time so much. Thank you for being a guest on the No Job Podcast.
No Job Podcast. Everybody have a good night. Chef Marc Bynum, Marc Bynum Concepts. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Chef Marc Bynum and Marc Bynum Concepts. MarcBynumConcepts.com. We out, y'all.
Deuces.
Deuces.